What's going on YouTube? So the XC60 has been one of Volvo's most popular models here in America, and globally it just became their best-selling model of all time. And to celebrate that, Volvo is giving the XC60 an extensive refresh this year with updated looks, updated tech, and more. So, is this the best one yet? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So like always, let's get things started here with our spec dump. Now under the hood, you'll still find the same powertrains for 2026. That means our B5 Tester is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with mild hybrid system making 247 horsepower. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and combined fuel economy comes in at 26 mpg.
Now the base price for the XC60 is $49,000 this year, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now of course we're going to be taking it out for a drive later on to show you the performance. We'll also get things like our sound level reading while we're on that drive, and at the end discuss resale and reliability.
But we'll go ahead and close up the hood because I'm sure you're very curious now as to what they've changed on the outside as well as on the inside. Now getting started here with the exterior design. Of course, Volvos have always had that very clean and classy look. That does continue with this refresh, but you'll notice as Mason kind of gets closer to the grille, you can see the subtle enhancements. So this is their newest grille, and what's different here is basically the shape is slightly revised, and the lines are now flowing in opposing directions around our signature Volvo logo. I think this looks quite fresh and modern. We have the dark theme on this, which is actually the only way you can get the XC60 here in the US, and you also have a black edition. You can choose to black out the logos. Now as we pull over here to our headlights, you're going to notice really no significant changes to the overall design of these. You have standard full LEDs, of course, on all models. These are adaptive as well. And then you've got the signature Thor's hammer kind of running right through in the center. They're not adding any of the cool like folding effects or anything like that from the EX90. And then down here at the bottom, we have our fog lights. Now as we move around to the back, you'll notice there's less updates than what we have in the front.
But I think it still retains that overall very classy look the XC60 has always been known for. Now, let's break down some of the design touches. We have a spoiler up top, we have a wiper right here, and then as far as the new things for 2026 model year, that's going to revolve around the taillight. So the taillight unit itself is mostly the same. However, you do have a new darkened color to it, so it looks a little bit fresher than before. And as far as the lighting components, they are full LED with your brake light, your reverse light, and turn signal indicator. Now as we drop down to the lower fascia, this is once again going to have a nice classy look. 3,500 pounds is your tow rating.
Now as we move to the wheels, you might notice that we've got a lot of new designs for 2026. That really goes across the entire spectrum of different sizes that you can get, up to 22-inch alloys. What we have on this model is probably what most people are going to be choosing. It's a mid-level 20-inch contrast alloy. I really like this new design. I think it pops with the overall design of the vehicle. And then as we move up here to our mirrors, we've got the gloss black finish on board. They remain fully loaded across the lineup, which means that you even have power folding and auto dimming on all models.
Now at the side of the XC60, overall vehicle length is 185 inches. That's going to remain unchanged, and all of our window surrounds and roof rails are going to be blacked out. And speaking of colors, I do want to mention you have 3 new color options for 2026. That's the mulberry red, so that's a really cool color that we originally saw on the XC90. Aurora silver, which is what we have actually on today's model, and then forest lake, which is a really cool greenish color. Now, as far as your safety systems, they've also updated this for 2026 by including every single active safety feature as standard equipment. That will include things like adaptive cruise control now on every single version. But guys, there are even more changes on the inside when it comes to technology. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now let's move on to the interior. First, as always, here's a quick look at our key fob. Just the typical Volvo key fob. Of course, you have standard smart entry as well. And to get inside, just reach behind the handle. That will unlock the door and fold the mirrors outward. Now, taking a look inside the interior, of course, if you've owned any of this generation, you'll definitely immediately be drawn to a major tech upgrade as well as some other updates. And before we get into all of those individual details, we'll start off with the seats. So new for 2026, we now have Volvo's Nordico as the standard seating option. What that is basically a faux leather. As you can see, it has a very similar design to the available Nappa leather, which is going to continue to be offered on your Ultra model. You have some quilting down there in the center section. As far as the adjustments, as you can see, we've got about 10-way power adjustment and 2-way lumbar support. You can also get more adjustments and a thigh extension on your top trim level, as well as massaging availability. But let's go ahead and climb on inside. And now that we're inside, let's look at the overall cabin materials. So over here on our door trim, you have more of the Nordico with the stitching detail and through the center section. Soft touch plastic all through here. The upper dash is finished in a soft touch plastic. I believe you can still get the tailored dashboard as well on your upper end models. One of my favorite things, which I'm glad they did not eliminate, is this beautiful piece of open pore wood that just kind of flows all through the interior. Always one of my favorite things about the cabin. It continues to look absolutely fantastic. More of that open pore wood will be down here on our center console, and no padding along the tunnel there. Now to fire it up, we've got our twist button start. Jumping right into some individual features, we'll start with the gauge cluster. We've got the 12.3-inch full digital gauge cluster. This was already on the XC60 models, and you can continue to configure it with Google Maps built right into the middle. Now, since this is the Plus model, we don't have it, but the Ultra does give you a head-up display as well. And then as we move back to the steering wheel, we've got the typical Volvo steering wheel with the tailored finish. It is manual tilt and telescoping, and then steering wheel heating is an available option. But what I really want to talk about is right here in this center console area. Now, when you first glance at it, it doesn't really look all that different than before, but what they've actually done is reconfigure the overall storage solutions here to make it more practical than before. So we'll start under our center console. You'll see we've got some donuts inside, 7 donuts to be exact, which is better than before because this is a little bit deeper and kind of more accommodating. And of course, we like to do that donut test so we can compare to the competition. Now, up in front, you slide back this piece of open pore wood. You've got your 2 cup holders and a little bit of storage there. And then right here is kind of our biggest update because the new amount of space has been able to accommodate a wireless phone charging pad so that you can just toss your phone right up there, and it has more of like a clear spot than ever before. Now back behind, you've got your shifter. This is our crystal shifter. Pull back for drive, bump to the top there for reverse. And when you go into reverse, you're going to notice some upgrades to the camera system. So Plus trims and Ultra models will come with this 360-degree camera system. The big thing is with the software, now we have a display of the 360 camera and the back view simultaneously with this larger screen I'm going to talk about in a second. I can also switch between kind of some more different perspectives right up here for customizability. And just press that P right there for park. Located behind that, you have your electronic parking brake with your auto brake hold. Now, as we move beyond that, one of the things I like about this model is it still retains a nice physical volume knob. So you've got a few different audio systems you can choose from. This is the standard 10-speaker sound system. The Ultra comes with a 14-speaker Harman Kardon sound system. And then if you want to ball out, you can go for the Bauer & Wilkins sound system, which is one of our favorite audio systems in the entire auto industry. But let's go ahead and hear what this standard version sounds like. it's not too bad, but of course, if you really want a premium experience, then you'll want to upgrade up the trim structure. Also, I appreciate having the metal speaker grills on those higher end sound systems. But without further ado, let's jump right into this big tech improvement. So previously we had the 9-inch display across the range. That was getting kind of dated, and Volvo knew that, so they have totally renovated the infotainment system here. The new display is coming in at 11.2 inches, and as you can see, it kind of floats above the area where the previous screen was positioned. Now, inside of this screen, you'll continue to find many of your core functions, including climate down here at the bottom. Standard is a dual zone automatic climate system. 4 zones is on your upper end examples. And also inside of here, when you press there, that's where you can access your heated seats, which are standard on all models. Heated steering wheels I mentioned earlier. Ventilated seats will be on the Ultra trim level. Now when I tap there, that takes us to the home screen. This system comes with Google Apps built in, and it is actually an Android-based system. So you've got all the Google stuff really baked deeply into the system. Volvo says that the home screen now has a lot of additional information, so you don't have to click as much to get to commonly used features, such as activating the camera, seeing your drive modes, and things like that. And then your additional apps are going to be located inside of there. This is where you can see that you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Just beware the Android Auto does not run wirelessly. Up top here, we've got an auto-dimming mirror with our HomeLink universal remotes. And then if I swipe back on this touch-sensitive panel, that will slide back the sunshade for our standard panoramic sunroof. As you can see, it's a nice and large piece of glass, and the front portion still opens up.
Now let's take a second to talk about the rear seat in the XC60. Now, when it comes to the refresh, not much is going to change back here. So it's going to be your signature XC60, which is a lot of space and also a lot of luxury features. 38 inches of both leg and headroom. So those are good numbers for this segment. It's actually going to be larger than some of your main competition. And, of course, we brought along the official Car Confections ruler. Now, the reason we did that is because Drew's seat is adjusted to his 5'8" driving position. I'm 5'9", and let's see how much knee room we can expect. About 8.5 inches, so that's quite good. And the thing that I love is look how much room I have for my feet to slide up underneath. That's certainly really nice. The only thing I'll complain about is that these rear seats do not recline, so that is something worth noting. If we fold down the armrest, we have 2 cup holders inside. And then as far as other features, we have heated back seats. That's an optional feature here on this Plus version or standard on your other examples. Some of the models, if you get the 4-zone climate, will have a touch screen back here to adjust your own climate. However, this more basic model is just going to be hollowed out. And then down here at the bottom, we have 2 USB-C ports to keep things charged up. Vents are going to be out of the B-pillar here. And then as far as the door trim is concerned, it's going to be your signature Volvo door trim. Lots of nice soft touch plastic, some more of that Nordico. And then down here at the bottom, there's a little bit of door storage. Now walking up to the tailgate, you have really good standard equipment on this model. So you have a standard hands-free power tailgate on the XC60. And then as far as the space is concerned back here, this is also a pretty good area of this model. About 22 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats. If we fold those seats down, we're looking at 63.3 cubic feet of space. Now, as far as how that compares to the rivals, I'm sure you're very curious about that. We'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. The reason you do that is because we've looked at all the luxury compact SUVs on the market, ranked them in individual categories that might matter more or less to you. Things like cargo capacity, rear seat features, technology in the front, powertrain choices, and even things like resale and reliability are broken down for you. So if you want to make an informed buying decision in this highly competitive segment, we'd encourage you to use our tools at carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, as far as folding the seats, there are not any handles to do that, so I will have to go up there to the second row and do it. You can kind of reach up here and do it. If you're decent in height, you might be able to just go ahead and do that. You do have a little bit of a pass-through as well. And then when you get those seats folded down, they are completely flat with the floor. And let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. It's a Car Confections review after all. 75 inches of length is what we can expect behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. Behind the second row, 40 inches of length. opening is, oh, that's very good, 44 inches of opening. That's very solid for this segment. And then as far as the height, a little over 29 inches. Now as far as the load-in, let's get that as well, 28 inches. And then underneath of the floor, you will find a spare tire, which is also becoming increasingly rare in a lot of modern vehicles. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the refreshed Volvo XC60. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading. But first of all, we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, there's an acceleration, not quite up to 60 with the red light coming up there, but gives you a good taste of the overall performance of the B5. So this is the standard powertrain on the XC60, as we kind of were discussing at the beginning of the video. This is what most people are going to go with. It's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It does have a 48-volt mild hybrid system, and then our total power is 247 horsepower and 266 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah, and as you can see from that acceleration, this is, not the fastest XC60 that you can get, but also I think that it is more than adequate for the vast majority of people's needs. This thing really feels quick. The torque pushes you back in your seat. As far as the 0 to 60 on this, Volvo says 6.5 seconds, so it's still a pretty quick option. Now, if you want all the power as well as the most efficiency, you can get the plug-in hybrid variant. That, of course, continues for the refresh as well. That's going to have the same engine plus, of course, a very powerful electric motor. All told, 455 horsepower on that, 523 pound-feet of torque. So those are very good figures. The EV range on that is about 35 miles, so that's also very good. 0 to 60 is 4.5 seconds, so it's 2 seconds faster to 60 than compared to this version. But most people will probably still be opting for this.
As far as the other element of the powertrain, we've got an 8-speed automatic transmission. This is what Volvo's been using on most of their products, and it remains nice and smooth.
Well, we're on a nice stretch of road to get our sound level reading going 55, so let's go ahead and do that. Nice long reading there. 55.6 decibels is what we are sitting at as far as our sound level reading is concerned for the refresh XC60. I don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to its rivals. There are a lot of rivals. I can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. Now, on our website, you can see that is not going to place it as quite the quietest option in the segment. Things like the BMW X3 and Mercedes GLC will be a little bit quieter than that, so that's something to keep in mind. But overall, it's still a very quiet cabin in here. And it is worth noting that we don't have like the highest end trim level as tested today. We are in just the Plus model, which is one up from base. And I also want to take a second to discuss ride quality for the XC60. Of course, that's a very important part of this vehicle. This is really not changed at all for 2026, which is a good thing because this vehicle always rode nicely. It's continuing to have very good ride quality, even here with the standard, model. You can get an available air suspension on the XC60. I don't think you need to buy it though, because this suspension setup in its standard form is really comfortable. It also does a great job of isolating out any of the road imperfections, and of course, in typical Volvo fashion, the seats are fantastic. So I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. This is going to be one of the more comfortable options in this segment.
Like we mentioned at the beginning, this does have a mild hybrid system. One of the things that allows for is powering advanced auto start-stop. In this model, it is indeed very smooth. You can barely feel it when it turns off, and it just turned on right now. It's powered with the climate controls, and indeed it is very smooth.
It is very good. Now, let's also talk about fuel economy, because the mild hybrid system benefits your fuel economy. 2330, 26 is what you're looking at in this XC60. That is very good. It's going to be right in line with those German rivals. Not quite as good as the X3, though. Now, as far as the plug-in hybrid model, I already mentioned you have quite a lot of all-electric range, and as far as the MPG figure, they give it a 63 MPGe number. All right, let's get into today's slam dunk and airball, which is our favorite and least favorite element about the XC60. Let's go ahead and kick us off with the slam dunk.
So for the slam dunk, we're going to say the updates to the things that consumers were complaining the most about. Chiefly, I think the technology is a huge step forward for sure. That old display was just getting, kind of outdated. This bringing the Google in and all of those things, kind of making it smoother, upsizing it really does make a good difference overall.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side with the airball, we wish they had done more for the refresh. I think particularly in the outside, I think the interior is very nice and always was very nice, but the outside, I think, could have benefited from the new headlights off of the XC90 or the EX90. I'm not really sure why they opted to leave those exactly the same, especially considering the XC90 just got refreshed with those new headlights. I think it would have been a very welcome change in addition to the grille. Now let's talk pricing. So the XC60 prices will rise around $1,000 to $2,000 for the 2026 model year. So a decent amount extra, but that means that we started around the $49,000 price point. You can see all the trim levels on the screen right now. This one is a pretty modestly equipped one. We have the Plus, so $54,300 is what we're looking at today. We have also a few options, quite a few accessories as well. $1,295 destination, $57,985 is what we're looking at today. Now, if you're looking to buy a Volvo XC60 or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that and things like our monthly payment tool, you can find all of that in our link to the website in the video description, as well as the pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's talk about resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Volvo XC60's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 42.52% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 12.5%. Now, it's worth noting those are lower than industry average figures for resale value. However, it's very much on par with the German rivals such as BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several trustworthy sources on reliability and combines them in a way that gives you the most holistic picture. In this regard, Volvo is rated below the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you do have a pretty good one. It's a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic and powertrain warranty. You do get 3 years and 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance, though. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the refreshed 2026 Volvo XC60. If you enjoyed watching one of the first videos on this refreshed XC60, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and we also strive to get the latest and greatest cars out there. So if that interests you, we'd certainly encourage you to subscribe down below. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.